Hey, good morning. We are coming at you, Justin Dale, with our reverse dieting, or what we call post-goal nutrition. And does it even exist? Do you even need it? Reverse dieting. And we're putting the finishing touches on our manual that covers this topic. If you're interested in really the science behind everything, we're just waiting for some blood work to come back on Erica and I. Should be here Friday, and the guide itself, or the webinar itself, is in editing, so it comes off nice and polished and smooth for everyone. So keep an eye out for that. And this is actually one of the beef and potato slides that we cover. So actually, if you don't care about the science and stuff, just this slide alone, you won't have to buy the manual. This will give you some really, really good data and some information. All right, so we'll first talk about like the reverse diet. I cannot stand that term. It's not a very scientific term, and everyone has a different opinion of it. We call it post-goal nutrition. So basically, if you're an individual and someone's trying to sell you a reverse dieting concept, well, we're gonna assume that you hit your goal. Okay, you're going to fall into one of three categories. Okay, you're going to fall into low or no adaptation. Okay, that means there wasn't huge compositional change. You didn't gain 50 pounds of muscle and lose 50 pounds of fat. Okay, so maybe you you sustained your muscle, you lost 15 pounds of fat. You're still at a healthy body fat level. That's who we're talking about. So this is going to be the vast majority of people that did a diet correctly, or a cutting phase correctly. They didn't go to extremes, they didn't go crazy, but they definitely hit their goal. They're looking and feeling good, their pants are fitting great, okay? So not huge compositional changes, and they might have 0 to 1 risk factors. We're gonna talk about the risk factors here in a minute, okay? So there's no huge biometric changes, and there's no huge hormonal issues going on, okay? The second is, so I would say 60% of people that do nutrition correctly are going to fall right here, okay, or their coach is doing it correctly. Another 30 to 35, maybe even 40% are going to be moderately adapted, okay? Those are the people that they're like, you know what, 15 pounds, that looks good. I want to go for that extra 5. I want to see a little bit deeper abs. I want to take this a little bit further, okay? I'm not trying to kill myself or be a walking zombie, but I want to take it a little bit further. So their coach or themselves formulates a little bit more aggressively. Okay, so here we might have larger, I should say larger composition changes. Okay, so this is more like a photo shoot ready, like, wow, man, okay, cool. Okay, if that's their particular goal. And they may exhibit 1 to 2 risk factors, okay? Again, this person, they're still dieting what I would consider very healthy. They might have some lower energy days depending on their stress for that day, and depending on which 2 risk factors that we're going to talk about here they're exhibiting. Okay, so again, this person, once they reach their goal, they're going to be able to formulate their macronutrient distribution or their nutrition plan, whatever it is they follow, to maintenance, and they're going to be totally okay. All right. Then we have the, I would say the 1 to 3%, that's maybe a matter of opinion, okay? These are the people that did 1 or 2 things. They just did it wrong, okay, maybe 1 of 3 things. They hired the wrong coach, so they did it wrong themselves, they hired the wrong coach, or they did it right themselves, they hired the right coach, but they just wanted to take things to the extreme. They wanted to climb Mount Everest. That's probably not healthy, the most healthy thing to do. A lot of people have died trying to climb Mount Everest, but hey, you're not going to tell them, if that's your dream, go climb that mountain, okay? Or actually, there would be a 4th person, this was me. They didn't have a coach, so they just became their own worst enemy. And these are your highly adapted people, okay? These are the people that when they're getting their blood work back, in my prep, I had my blood drawn every 6 weeks. The testosterone's low, the estrogen's high, their hormones are out of whack. Now, they're not so out of whack that the doctor's like, oh my gosh, you're dying. But they're out of whack. It's not, they're way, way, way distant from normal, okay? So if you look at like kind of normal and healthy, these people are the closest to it. These people are a few steps away. We're not born to have, necessarily ripped abs. These people are like miles down the road, okay? They're miles down the road. They're highly adaptive. They have very large composition changes, so their body fat might have went from like, well, if you look at Erica, her body fat went from 34 pounds to like 9 or something. I mean, when for a female, that's super duper lean. That's, you know, probably not the most sustainable place to be. My body fat pounds went from, it was around 34, 35, down to 7. Okay, I mean, think of it as a bank account. You know what I mean? If I drain your bank account by 85%, you're gonna start freaking out. Okay, well, your body's no different. And they have 3+ risk factors, so they're highly adapted. These are the people that need a little bit more of a strategy. There is a strategy for these people as well. It's not just saying, all right, you hit your goals, 15 pounds, good job. And we have in our manual outlines for these people, but these are the ones who you're looking at like metabolic syndrome potentially, or potentially adrenal fatigue, which is not a medical term, but I think it does exist in very few. So the 1 to 3%. So what are your risk factors? Excessive stimulant intake. Okay, and when I say excessive, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I had a cup of coffee and I got real jittery, or I really felt that beta alanine. I'm talking excessively high, unhealthy levels of stimulant intake. Okay, now again, to get to say like nationals or whatnot, your coach might need to prescribe that for those last few ounces of fat. Okay, but it is a risk factor. Okay, extreme caloric restriction. All right, that's probably at the top risk factor right there. Extreme caloric restriction. All right, that was the one I was guilty of right there, and man, that thing will shut you down if you're very, very lean. Okay, excessive cardio. All right, I'm not talking about you're hitting like a CrossFit workout 45 minutes or you're on the elliptical for 35 minutes. I'm talking excessive large amounts of cardio. I've heard stories of like, I don't know why it always goes down to this group of people, but bikini athletes that are doing like 3 hours a day of cardio, okay? By itself, well, okay, but when you start to combine these, which is how we're gonna close. Anyway, next one, combining high intensity and high volume. That's another one I was guilty of. You can watch the video, I'm not gonna get into it, all right? But yeah, you want to go hard in the gym, there is no doubt. As that show or that endeavor or whatever you're trying to be unhealthily lean for, whatever competition it is, okay, you don't want to combine in a given workout high intensity and high volume. Those two don't mix. Increased stress and not dealing with it, okay? If you're trying to climb Mount Everest and you're going through a divorce, you might want to climb that mountain next year, okay? Because your body just understands stress, and these are, if you're kind of picking up on what we're saying here, all these are just stress, okay? And then not prioritizing sleep. So that's one way to not deal with the stress, or not taking a supplement that deals with the oxidative stress, okay? So not dealing with a lot of these factors. Now, here's the thing with these factors is, can this person who has very low adaptation be doing one of them? Yeah, absolutely. Can this moderately adapted person, maybe they're doing 1 or 2? If you ever saw the original Batman, okay, go back to way back in the original Batman with Jack Nicholson. He released like these toxins in, not the food supply, but it was in like deodorant and perfume and stuff like that. And for them to kill you, they turned you into like this Joker looking person. But for them to kill you and have that effect, you had to combine them. So deodorant didn't do it alone, but deodorant and hairspray and perfume would have this effect and eventually kill you. So if anyone remembers like the original Batman, that's what happens with these risk factors in the very lean individual. Okay? So when the very lean individual starts to combine these things, and again, this could mean good or bad coaching. It really can. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to get that last, especially if you have a high stress life. Like, you're like a heart surgeon and like literally patients can be dying on the table. You got high stress. Now, if you just manage stress well, you're going to manage these risk factors a little bit better. Okay? But if you're pretty much doing 3 or more and you're an extremely lean individual and you've had very large composition changes, you're going to be highly adapted. And trust me when I tell you, you will know it. In the guide, we have a 100% objective way for you to tell. It's a blood test, so we'll kind of point you in that direction if you're just curious. But trust me, you are going to feel like pure death for multiple days if you're in this highly adaptive. So hopefully this is beneficial for you. This will help kind of categorize of where you want to be. But just kind of with a grain of salt, most of us, to kind of close here, we're not here. We don't need some like crazy reverse diet plan and things of that nature. That's kind of a farce. For health, fitness, kind of even being photo shoot ready, it's just going to our coach or ourselves and getting back slow, a little bit slower, 1 to 2 weeks, to our maintenance macronutrients, having a plan set in place, and rocking and rolling. So again, hopefully this was advantageous for you. Have a great rest of your day.